The story begins with FBI Special Agent Sarah Ashburn, a disciplined, highly skilled investigator who has climbed the ranks through sheer precision and determination. Her talents are undeniable. She's cracked numerous high-profile cases, and her keen attention to detail is unmatched. However, Ashburn's arrogant, self-assured attitude and condescending nature have left her ostracized by her colleagues, who often find her unbearable. Today, she's at the scene of a drug bust, meticulously scouring the area. With an almost forensic eye, she uncovers cleverly concealed stashes of weapons and drugs from a notorious gang, leaving the suspects with nothing to hide. Her colleagues watch in silence, acknowledging her skill while quietly resenting her aloof demeanor. Later that evening, Ashburn returns to her quiet, solitary apartment, living alone. She often spends her evenings winding down from work, and tonight is no different. Scrolling through the news, she notices an article about her boss, Hale, who has just been promoted, a development that seems favorable for her own career aspirations. She feels a surge of excitement, believing this might be her moment to finally step into the leadership role she's long desired. The next morning, Ashburn strides confidently into Hale's office at the New York FBI field office, certain she's about to be named his successor. Her excitement, however, is short-lived. Hale has other plans for her. He explains that she's being assigned to Boston to investigate a powerful drug kingpin named Larkin. Sensing her disappointment, Hale adds that if she can solve the case and, importantly, demonstrate the ability to work well with others, she might be a strong contender for the promotion. Meanwhile, in Boston, we are introduced to Detective Shannon Mullins, a tenacious, foul-mouthed officer in the Boston Police Department. On patrol, Mullins moves with intimidating presence, bulldozing her way through the streets with zero tolerance for anyone who dares to cross her path. As she chases a young man smoking a joint, she catches him in an embarrassing, humiliating scene, making a spectacle of his capture. Her efficiency is undeniable, though her harsh methods raise more than a few eyebrows. Ashburn's arrival in Boston marks the beginning of an unlikely partnership, as she's paired with none other than Mullins. Almost immediately, sparks fly. Ashburn's rigid, by-the-book approach clashes with Mullins' brash and unconventional methods, creating tension and frequent clashes. Not one to be sidelined, Ashburn takes matters into her own hands, interrogating a young drug dealer named Rojas, who is apprehended by Mullins and has known ties to Larkin's right-hand man, Julian. She conducts the interrogation alone, keeping Mullins in the dark, but Mullins is quick to catch on, intercepting Ashburn's case file to learn the details of the investigation. Furious, yet aware that she needs Mullins' knowledge of Boston's underground, Ashburn reluctantly agrees to partner up, realizing that working together might be their best shot at cracking the case. Joined by necessity, Ashburn and Mullins follow a lead to a local nightclub owned by one of Larkin's associates. After a tense exchange, they manage to plant a bug on the owner's cell phone and leave the club undetected. However, as they're heading out, two DEA agents, Craig and Adam, intercept them. The agents reveal that they've been working the Larkin case for months and are concerned that Ashburn and Mullins' presence could compromise their investigation. During a briefing in the DEA surveillance van, Ashburn is taken aback when she spots Mullins' brother, Jason, on a surveillance screen. She learns that Jason, recently released from prison due to Mullins' own arrest, may have ties to Larkin's organization. The mention of her brother stirs up complex emotions for Mullins, who refuses to discuss him and storms off, leaving Ashburn alone. The following day, Ashburn convinces a reluctant Mullins to visit her parents' house to speak with Jason and potentially gain information about Larkin. The visit is tense. Mullins' parents and brother still harbor deep resentment towards her for Jason's incarceration. Her family is openly hostile, and Ashburn is left alone in the living room as they ridicule her special agent title, mocking her by asking if special means special needs. Despite the awkwardness, Ashburn maintains her composure, while Mullins finally manages to speak with Jason privately. Despite the resentment within the family, Jason holds no ill will towards his sister and reveals information about a murdered drug dealer's body hidden in an abandoned car. After leaving the house, Ashburn and Mullins investigate the body. Chemical traces on the victim's shoes lead them to an abandoned paint factory, where they witness one of Larkin's men, Julian, murdering a drug dealer. They attempt to observe quietly, but they are soon discovered and brought face to face with Julian. Quick thinking and resourceful, Mullins takes advantage of a momentary distraction, breaking free and forcing Julian and his men to surrender at gunpoint. Although they successfully apprehend Julian, their interrogation of him proves fruitless, yielding no substantial information about Larkins' location. Returning to his field office, Ashburn finds herself facing her boss, Hale, who is unimpressed with the lack of progress and questions her competence. His criticism stings, leaving Ashburn feeling dejected and questioning her own abilities. Sensing her partner's distress, Mullins steps in with her characteristic energy and humor, insisting they go out for a drink. Ashburn and Mullins spend the evening together at a crowded, bustling bar, downing drinks and sharing stories. With each round, they become more animated, laughing louder and loosening up as the walls between them begin to crumble. What starts as a casual drink quickly turns into a night of laughter, dancing and bonding over several rounds of drinks. Ashburn, usually reserved and professional, finally lets her guard down, and Mullins, with her brash humor, can't resist poking fun at her uptight partner. They're lost in the lively atmosphere, bonding over their shared experience and celebrating the strange friendship that's slowly growing between them. However, the next morning, Ashburn wakes up with a pounding headache. She struggles to recall the events of the previous night, only to realize, with horror, that in her drunken state, she had handed over her car keys to a fellow bar patron without thinking clearly. She panics, not knowing where her car could be, and worried about what the stranger might have done with it. Ashburn and Mullins rush out to find the patron, hoping to get her keys back, but when they confront the person, he refuses to return them, leaving Ashburn frustrated and worried. Just then, to Ashburn's and Mullins' horror, they watch as the patron starts the car, and it explodes in a fiery blast right before their eyes. They're both shaken, realizing someone had planted a bomb in their vehicle. This makes them aware that their enemies aren't playing around. The people they're after are extremely dangerous. As they investigate the explosion, they uncover even more troubling news. Julian, one of Larkins' trusted men, has somehow managed to escape from custody. Fearing that Julian might seek revenge on Mullins' family, they make the decision to move her family to a safer location. Ashburn and Mullins relocate the family to a nearby motel for protection. Later, they find themselves at a small diner, talking about their next steps, trying to figure out how to outsmart Larkins' men and keep Mullins' family safe. While discussing their plans, they spot a man in the diner, suddenly gasping for breath, clearly in distress. The two women rush over to help, intending to perform first aid, but in their attempt to assist him, things go awry. Their methods end up causing the man to bleed heavily, which lands him in an ambulance and only adds to the chaos of the day.
Okay.
Yeah, bye-bye.
You're a reckless person.
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Not you.
Amid all this confusion, Mullins receives shocking news. Her brother, Jason, has decided to work with Larkins' organization in hopes of secretly helping her case. She's furious with Jason for putting himself in danger, knowing how risky it is to get involved with a drug cartel. Despite her anger, Jason gives Mullins a lead, telling her about a drug shipment expected to arrive at Boston Harbor soon. The FBI quickly sets up a sting operation at the harbor to intercept the shipment, anticipating a significant bust. However, when the ship arrives, they're stunned to discover it's just a pleasure cruise. They realize too late that Jason has been set up by Larkin, who, aware of Jason's betrayal, retaliates by having him severely beaten, leaving him in a coma. Mullins is devastated by this betrayal and vows to bring Larkin to justice. In her grief and anger, she lashes out at Ashburn and storms out of the hospital, struggling to process everything. After a few days, Ashburn and Mullins return to the streets, determined to find new leads on Larkins' whereabouts. They decide to start with Rojas, a young drug dealer with known connections to Larkin. They visit his house, where they uncover a fresh stash of drugs, evidence of Larkin's ongoing operations. With a clever plan in mind, Ashburn and Mullins take Rojas outside and hang him by his feet, threatening to drop him unless he tells them everything he knows. Frightened, Rojas reveals the location of a warehouse where Larkins' organization conducts its operations. But as they interrogate him, they lose their grip and Rojas falls onto his car, although he's unharmed.
Oh, my 2003!
With their new information, Ashburn and Mullins gear up for the warehouse raid. Mullins retrieves an arsenal of weapons from her personal collection at home, and the two women arm themselves, ready to confront Larkins' men. They sneak into the warehouse and, after taking out several guards with a hand grenade, are ultimately overpowered and captured. Julian, one of the Larkins' top men, binds them, threatening to torture them with a set of knives. Before he can begin, he's called away by Larkin himself, who is waiting upstairs. But before leaving, approaching, Julian stabs Ashburn in the leg, leaving her in pain and bound alongside Mullins. Once Julian exits, Mullins quickly removes the knife from Ashburn's leg and uses it to cut the ropes binding her hands. Just as she's about to finish freeing Ashburn, Craig and Adam, two DEA agents, enter the room. Craig begins untying them, but suddenly, Adam pulls out a gun and shoots Craig. Shocked, Ashburn and Mullins realize that Adam is actually Larkin himself, who has been using his DEA cover to run his criminal enterprise from the inside. Larkin orders Julian to kill Ashburn and Mullins while he heads to the hospital to finish off Jason. But before Julian can act, Mullins, who has freed herself, takes him down. She then helps Ashburn, and they rush to the hospital, hoping to save Jason before it's too late. At the hospital, Mullins dashes through the hallways, frantically searching for Jason's room, while Ashburn, weakened from her leg wound, has to crawl to keep up. Mullins reaches Jake's room, only to find Larkin standing over his bed with a syringe filled with air. Realizing Larkin intends to kill Jason by injecting air into his veins, Mullins freezes in fear, dropping her weapon in desperation to save her brother. But just then, Ashburn manages to enter the room and fires a shot, hitting Larkin in the crotch and stopping him in his tracks.
You saved my brother's life.
Now, with Larkin finally apprehended, Ashburn decides to stay at the FBI's Boston office, having developed a strong friendship with Mullins, while Jason makes a full recovery from his coma and the two women celebrate their hard-earned victory. The story comes to its conclusion with Mullins being honored by the Boston Police Department. Her family, once angry and distant, now cheers for her with pride, and all their past grudges are put aside. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.